stock car racing returns to this channel in full fucking force. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NSCA Fast Cup Series 2023 season. It's been a few years since last had a race on this channel, but hey, you know what? It's good to be back. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at our starting lineup for the Clash. You got Hunter Kiro on pole alongside Steven Merzlak, a couple champions at the front of the field. Tyler Blade Runner will roll off third alongside Alana Kiro. You got all three Steven Merzlak cars right there in the top four there. Cody Lamas, the defending champion of the series, will be rolling off fifth alongside Ian Wallace entering his sophomore season. Sean English, Travis Heflin roll off from row 4, and William Montoya alongside Ryan Vaughn to complete the top 10. Oop. Short pace lap, so let's not have that.
Drivers, to your car. Drivers,
all right, there we go.
to your cars.
As the field cycles through 3 and 4, we are at North Wilkesboro, by the way, for the Clash. And the green flag is out. We're underway. Kiro and Merzlak side by side as they enter turn 1. Under the lights here at North Wilkesboro. Looks like Hunter Kiro is going to get the first lap led here as teammates side by side now. Lamas side by side with Alana Kiro for fourth, and now side by side with Merzlak for third. Hunter Kiro continues to lead. Further back, it looks like Sean English has gone around the 12 of Wallace. Meanwhile, Heflin side by side with Montoya. And Harold McGranger for Queen City Racing trying to make moves as well. Front 7 or 8 cars now, single file. Kiro continues to lead. Blade Runner in second. Merzlak back to third. And Lama still in fourth. We're going for 80 laps here at North Wilkesboro, by the way. Figured that since, you know, NASCAR returned to the Bureau this year, I'd return to the Bureau this year as well, just for the Clashings of the All-Star race. Montoya's gotten around Heflin for 10th, and now looks like McGranger's gotten around Heflin. Yeah, that was for 9th. Now teammates Crago and Heflin side by side. Nice shot of the cars as they fly by there. Field all pretty much single file except for right in the proper back, as it looks like you have Sparks in the 22 going side by side with Heflin in the 13. Behind them, Willard side by side with Ryan Vaughn. That tail end of the field, of course, is the 5 of Samuel Henson Jr. Later on, it looks like he's been reeling in Hunter Kiro, though. The last few laps, they certainly pulled away from Merzlak, who might be under fire from Lamas here within the next couple of laps. We'll see how that develops. So as, of course, we take a look through, you know, the field and whatnot, you'll notice a few changes. For starters, of course, new drivers, some of whom I've already mentioned. Some other drivers have moved to different seats. Some have returned, some have left. And of course, you know, I'm using a different mod, different tracks, different textures. And best of all, this ticker at the top of the screen that you can see. Number cards and all. Big thanks to Singer for discovering how to actually get GNL to work with modern day systems, and big thanks to Just Liam for discovering how to get number cards to work. So we're already completing lap 13 of 80 here at Wilkesboro. So a few other changes, of course. Series has undergone not one but two name changes. Uh, Previously, it was the DeviantArt Cup Series at the time of the last race that it was posted to the channel, and that was, for context, 2019. 2020 through 2022 saw YouTube be the title sponsor of the Cup Series. And now this year we have Fastenal as the title sponsor, so yay. Hashtag not actually sponsored. Or something like that, I don't know. Anyways, but for 2019, it was Cal Corbett that wound up winning the championship for Riles Corbett Racing. However, both Bryce Riles and Cal Corbett made the shocking announcement of just retiring and dipping and selling their team following that year, and Red Bull Racing picked up the pieces. And they've been competing ever since in the Cup Series. McLaren joined the Cup Series as well in 2020. We have a new manufacturer actually this year, and the 57 car is actually a representation of that, although it might be hard to tell what manufacturer it is. It is Mercedes, joining Dodge, Toyota, Chevrolet, Ford, and Pontiac. Ooh, side by side, looks like earlier, further back in the field between teammates, Mike Willard and Samuel Henson Jr. Already quarter way through the race. As Blade Runner and Kiro continue to extend their gap on Merzlak. Ooh, looks like English got a little loose exiting turn 4 there. Was able to keep it off the wall and get it gathered back up. Now it's Ryan Vaughn at the tail end of the field in the 2. Now, of course, new for 2023 is also the advent of the next generation race car. Previously, I was using the Bullring Gen 6 mod. Then 2022, I switched over to the Splash and Go 2019 Cup mod. And now I'm using the Full Circle Racing Designs next gen mod. So that will be a thing for the foreseeable future. It's hard to tell if Blade Runner is trying to bid his time until pit stops, because yes, there will be pit stops in this race, or if he just doesn't quite have the car to get to Kiro. Whereas like just being practically pushed by Lamas down the back straight. It always looks like Lamas thought about making the move, but couldn't quite figure out. Meanwhile, side by side further back, Craigo trying to find his way around McGranger. Lamas again running a lower lane down that front straightaway. However, it looks like Merzlik's just being able to pull away just a little bit because of that. Well, McGranger was able to hold off Creo for that position. And Kiro is starting to pull away from Blade Runner ever so slightly. Lamas right on the back bumper of Merzlik again, looking inside, but just doesn't quite have the run off the corner like Merzlik does off of turn 4. Meanwhile, Lana Kiro, who races for Merzlik now, doing a decent job holding with these guys. It looks like Sean English is also closing in on them a little bit. He's gapped Ian Wallace side by side further back in the field. Sparks, Willard, and Henson Jr. And Henson clear of Sparks for that spot. Fortunately, he's at the tail end of the field. Back up front, looks like Blade Runner's reeled the 92 back in just a little bit. Ooh, Lama's running a slightly higher line this time around. Doesn't look like it benefited him all that much, as it looks like Montoya is trying to set up a move on Wallace. Can't quite get there. Well, and here comes Kiro now for his first pit stop of the day. He's followed by Lamas, Wallace, Montoya, Sparks, and Vaughn. So all three Penske guys, as well as pretty much all the Fords, except for, I want to say, English, yeah. Now here comes the rest of the field, with the exception of, I think, Crago and McGranger, yeah. They'll probably pit this time by. And there they are. And Kiro is off first. Montoya out third of the first group to come in, though, so a bit surprising. His teammates side by side, ever so briefly. It's going to be interesting how this cycles out, and it looks like Blade Runner is going to be ahead of Kiro. Lamas is still going to be ahead of the 7. Ooh, 3 wide here. English doing everything he can to stay off of Willard, and it looks like it's going to work. As Crago and McGranger come onto the track again. McGranger got a much better pit stop. He's up to, I think, 4th, 5th, somewhere around there. Now Blade Runner trying to hold on to the lead here as Kiro looks to the inside through turns 1 and 2. He's on the back bumper of that 77, doing everything he can to try to get back around and get back into the lead. The 48 alum is a not so distant but not quite close third. And then Alana Kiro in 4th. Where is Merzlik, though? That's what I want to know. Where is Merzlak? Oh, there he is. Merzlak, the big loser on pit road, fell, what, 6 or 7 spots? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spots on pit road. One of the biggest winners, though, Ryan Vaughn, he's gained several spots. Ian Wallace lost out big time there. So these two continue to battle for the lead. Field isn't really spread out too badly, except for at the front. Sparks running a slightly lower line than Henson there down the front straightaway. We are just past halfway, by the way. Harold McGrainer doing a great job for Queen City. Team who's struggled over the really since entering the series. Back in, I want to say 2020. Yeah, they entered in 2020 as well. Originally had Cam Barnes as their driver in the number 8 Chevrolet. Then last year they switched to Toyota for a year and then had Chase Marks and Alex Miller for the drivers. However, after we got 41 drivers in the series, both of them had a combined 24 DNQs. So they sacked both drivers, got Harold McGranger, hired Dylan Maddox, who was let go when his team, Factory Dodge Autosport, was bought out by the Parsley family, the historic, legendary family who founded the NSCA's first team, effectively. Well, not the NSCA, one of the NSCA's predecessors' first teams. And namesake of the winningest driver in NSCA history, Homer Parsley. Anyways, but Queen City hired Dylan Maddox for the number 59 car. Here you see Harold Granger in the 57. Doing a fantastic job running 5th right now after that great pit stop by that crew. So hopefully that's a good sign of things to come, even if this is just the exhibition race. Willard also gained a ton of spots in that pit cycle, running in 6th. Was an early championship favorite last year in just his 2nd season, but unfortunately had a bit of a bad string of luck in the summer months and just could not get back the momentum come to the end of the season. Still finished, I believe, in the top 10 in points. William Montoya returns after a season of absence. Originally drove for Red Bull Racing in 2020. Yeah, in 2020, because that was his rookie year. Then drove for Factory Dodge Autosport in 2021. Now he returns for Rouse Corporate Racing, who returns also this year. Bought out assets of Spencer Racing, which ceased operations at the end of last season. Rouse Corporate back, and now their 99 car, their flagship car, running in 7th, 8th, somewhere in there? 7th. Had to double check. Jake Crago in 8th, ran second in points at the end of the season last year, was going to be champion. However, heartbreak in a late overtime restart, unfortunately just did not get a chance to stretch the field out and unfortunately had to pit. Hence the reason why Cody Lama is a champion. Of course, another heartbreak, Sean English. So close and yet so far, so many times in the championship fight, but just did not have late season luck. Actually blew or had a mechanical failure of some sort. I can't quite remember what. At Atlanta for the season finale last year. Finished 4th in points. Steven Merzlak, the other championship favorite in that four-way fight, also had to pit for fuel on the final restart in overtime. And also the biggest loser from that pit cycle. Just realized we are nearing the final set of pit stops here. Ryan Vaughn also. Great run. I think his best statistical season last year. Won the Daytona 500 last year. Of course, that's coming up here shortly as well. Travis Heflin started off great, but hasn't had a good couple of last years. So looking to change that as we see Ryan Vaughn now attempting to make a move on Steven Merzlak in front of Heflin here. Can't quite get that done. Samuel Henson Jr. joined Hendrick Motorsports last year as the 4th entry for that team. Only a temporary allowance of 4 teams, or 4 cars per team last year. Henson didn't really impress, was way off of pace compared to his teammates. But now Hendrick's down to 3 cars again. They can focus on all 3 cars together. So we'll see what he can do this season. William Sparks, driving for the Penske 22 team, entering his 3rd season this year. He's done pretty good. Oh, and of course, right when I mention it, the 5 of Henson Jr. blows an engine here late in the going, just past the 3/4 mark, and unfortunately that's going to bring out a yellow as he has stopped on the front straightaway. That's going to bring the field pretty close together here and allow everybody to pit on the same lap as we see the field now entering pit road almost immediately. So tough break for Henson Jr., not how he wanted to end his clash. So as we go through the caution here, talk about some other drivers. You have, of course, Tyler Blade Runner. Has had an interesting career so far since 2019. Of course, in 2019, I don't even think he was in this on the Cup Series roster that year. I could be wrong as we see cars colliding with each other. Silly NRAI. As Kira with a slow stop. I think Merzlak had about had a somewhat at least position equaling stop. Anyways, but Blade Runner was originally going to drive for Furniture Row Racing, actually. But as we all know, Furniture Row Racing closed in real life, so I had to close it down in the NSCA history, or NSCA league as well. So that left him without a ride until Steven Merzlak decided to give him a chance to drive for that organization in a slight restructuring following the 2018 season. And he's got a couple wins now under his belt. Doing pretty good with that car so far. Cody Lamas, we touched on, of course, defending champion, his 4th championship in his career. Continues to drive for Hendrick Motorsports, entering his 21st canonical season in the NSCA lore, of course. So it'll be interesting to see how that will affect him. We already touched on Harold Granger's move to Queen City for this year, but we haven't quite talked about him, about his history. He is a former Cup Series driver. Went down into Xfinity for several years and whatnot. Ran in that series, and now he's back up to Cup for Queen City. Mikey Willard replaced Joseph Onesto at Hendrick Motorsports in 2021, if I recall correctly. Yeah, 2021. He was in the 88 car because at the time, Alan Bledsoe was driving the number 24. However, Alan Bledsoe has retired, went to just managing his team as a full-time owner. So Hendrick has taken an opportunity to switch over to the 24. Since Bledsoe Brothers Racing has released that number, as we go back to Green Flag Racing with 10, maybe 9 laps to go. Oh, and already contact. Wallace gets sideways, almost spins it, but able to get back going almost immediately. So no caution again. Lonakiro was driving for Pathfinder Racing, left due to not being happy with how the organization was not necessarily being run, but like just not happy running for that team. So she moved over to Steven Merzlik Racing in 2021, if I recall correctly, maybe 2020. Hunter Kiro, of course, her twin brother, running there as looks like Lamas tried to make a move on Blade Runner in turn 1 there. We already touched on Montoya earlier. Craig, of course, still running in the 62. Anyways, going back to Hunter for a moment, still running in the 92. Lamas still trying that inside lane, trying to get the run on the 77. Don't know how well it is going to work for him here. Of course, running out of time to talk about drivers, so I'll just shut up and let the race run now. Besides, we got plenty of time to talk about other drivers in future races here. Blade Runner doing a great job holding off Lamas here. As I believe we're coming to 3 to go this time by. Two laps to go now. Still Blade Runner, Lamas, McGranger, Willard, and Alana Kiro, the top 5. Pontiac, Chevy, Mercedes, Chevy, Pontiac. Now they come to the white flag. 1 lap left in this race. Can Lamas pull a last turn move on Blade Runner, or will the 77 win this race through 3 and 4th for the final time? And off of the final corner, it's going to be Blade Runner taking the checkered flag. Epic fail on my part for not capturing the checkered flag there. Oh well. So officially it is Blade Runner, Lamas, McRanger, Willard, Ilana Kiro, Hunter Kiro, Montoya, Crago, English, Merzlak, Vaughn, Heflin, Sparks, and Wallace, with Samuel Henson Jr. DNFing after a issue with apparently the headers of his engine. So yeah, that was the clash, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of a taste of what's come for the season, although the next race, or races, I should say, will be, of course, the duels at Daytona to determine who makes it and who doesn't for Daytona. We got 42 entries going for 40 spots, and a lot of drivers that aren't safe. But that is next time. And until then, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, we'll see you at the next race. So long, folks.